All right, then, so people who are joining, and welcome to another webinar with Vmaker. We are calling the series, by the way, Create and Elevate. And, so far I've been struggling with the name for the session. Every time somebody comes in, I tell them that, you have to suggest a name for this. And I just tell them, make a series. We tell them, we make a webinar. And finally, we came up with a name for different cohorts. So this cohort is going to be about Create and Elevate. We are more focused on the educator segment and the creator economy with this segment. So thanks for being the first guest on this Create and Elevate series, Marc.
My pleasure. Thanks for
So
having me.
for people who don't know Marc, I would describe him as one of the few marketers who would make sense with all his posts. He doesn't post pretty often, but when he does, it's worth reading it. I like that about him. I've been following him since his tweet. It said, what, I should be talking in a podcast. I've done some decent things, and I want to share this to people. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm hosting something. Why not come and join here? And he said yes, and that's how we are here. So Ideation to dollars, how he went from thinking about a content idea or a course idea, and then he went ahead and monetized it in a span of 7 days. And I'm gonna tell you the truth here. I've been planning on launching a course for at least last 1 year, and maybe it's just the lack of discipline more than anything, I would put it that way. But I'm gonna be a student on this session as well, in order to learn something out of this. So thanks once again for joining in. I know you're heading the growth team at Poweredbysearch, and you've been helping clients to accumulate more than 100K MRR every month. But today it's going to be the other side, wherein you're going to teach people how to teach, and probably how to make a small business. I was reading a tweet today. It's not a freelancer anymore. It's not an individual anymore. It's more like a small business today. It's very organized and structured. So yeah, I'm excited to hear that more than anyone. So thanks once again for joining us, Marc.
Oh, my pleasure. No, I'm looking forward to it.
Like I said, this is going to be a very casual conversation. I just want to have a one-on-one communication with you. I have a series of questions, but before I jump into all that, let's get the elephant out of the room, what everyone is here for. So what is the journey like? Can you tell us about that story? What was the idea? Why did you think about it? And then what are the steps you took to go ahead with it?
Sure. So I specialize in B2B SaaS, so software as a service, and marketing those. Now, I'd worked in an early stage company previously, and it was painful to grow. So I thought to myself, hey, look, I've done this, and now I've got the experience of also working with mid to late stage companies, big companies. Why don't I put down some of the ideas that I've accumulated, and like some of the best practices and things that I found to be true, some that I found to be false, and why don't I turn that into a course? That basically was the idea. So I created the early stage growth playbook off the back of that.
That's awesome. So, I understand that you came with a early stage growth playbook and you went ahead with it. But at any point did you ever ask, come across a question like, do I have an audience for this book?
Yeah.
Or obviously, with early stage there is always an audience. It's a no-brainer. But in general, did you get that thought by any means? Or of course you came up with a problem, but how exactly did that turn into a course or an ebook that can go live?
Well, it's funny because a lot of the course is actually about validation of ideas in the first place, right? So to validate an idea, there are all sorts of things you can do. Now, what I thought was the best validation, because I was going to invest, a week of writing in the nights into this, I thought, should I do that? What I decided I would do is I would write an outline of the course basically in bullet point forms, and then turn that into a thread on Twitter. So I gave away basically the entire course as a thread on Twitter. It's still there. You can go and check it out. But what happened was a lot of people engaged with it. I forget how many. It was significant enough though that I thought, you know what? I could turn this into a course. So I decided I would go and put up I created the course on Podia, and basically I took the outline of the course and created a sales page on Podia for the course.
Okay.
And I said, guys, this is going to be $80 in a week's time, but until I finish it, it's $20.
Wow.
And basically said, if you want it, buy now, because when I finish it, as soon as I finish the last bit, I'm going to change the price, and then you're going to have to pay $80. And that's how I validated the idea. I thought if someone pays me now, people will pay me later. And in any case, if someone pays me, I've got to write the thing. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I think it also creates an accountability. Usually there is this notion, whenever you try to create a passion project, instead of your regular project, it always gets delayed. And the reason being that you don't have an accountability factor involved, and there is nobody telling you, or matching you with timelines, etc. And that's one of the primary reason, things get delayed. But this is a great idea to create that accountability and validate the idea at the same time. Love that. I'm going to talk more into the promotion part as we move ahead, but moving on, I want to understand what are the things, we should be prepared before we launch a course. Is there any pre-preparation stage?
Yeah, I think it's the same with anything. You have to think to yourself, okay, do I have an idea that is interesting enough that someone is going to pay me money to read it or take part in it? So that's a basic thing. It's obvious, right?
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I've learned is that if your course offers an outcome versus a set of information, you will do better. So let's say I wanted to write this course again, and I didn't know that you should get an outcome from a course. And I said, okay, if I took away all of the stuff, that basically turns it into a course about what is marketing online, right?
Yeah.
That's not compelling at all, because there's 100 courses, or there's 1,000,000 courses, probably more like, on that topic. So turn your concept into an outcome, something that somebody will get out of your course. The best things that you can get out of someone's course are a new revenue stream, a new level of income. Those are classic things. But then there's also like less tangible things. Like, for example, I don't know, if you were doing something that wasn't about business, maybe it's like how to build a boat. I don't know why that came into my head, but how to build a boat, right? That's something. But how to build a boat in 7 days is like, oh, great, I'll buy that right now, because in 7 days I'll have a boat. If I just follow that course. It's about taking and thinking, okay, well, what am I giving someone versus the information? Like, what in addition to that are they going to get out of this? I think that's a strong thing to do.
That's pretty interesting. So a finite, time-oriented and an outcome-oriented, it's more like an actionable guide which you're offering, rather than just teaching them, with GANs and examples, if I get it right.
Right. So that's, yeah. So like, to take my example here, so early stage growth, what you can do is you could talk about the themes of early stage growth. And I don't think that's very useful, because again, you could read blog posts, you go on Twitter, you find that stuff out. So instead, what I did was I gave people a framework to walk through from having an idea and building a product to creating content that supports that, to creating messaging that supports the actual sale, how to get customers effectively. And all of that is time limited, right? Because you're going to go from 0 to 100 pretty fast, a couple of months, maybe max. And is that worth $80 to you? It's probably worth a lot more, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really the goal to maximize the profit. So
that is true. So, I know you wrote this as an ebook, but then, you also have a nice setup, by the way, and I'm pretty sure you're neck deep into videos as well right now. Obviously, as a marketer, everybody today, everyone is into videos right now. So, if let's say, somebody who's listening it and they want to create a course which involves video production as well, have you had any experience with video production? If not for the course, but for even for other activities, and do you have any special hacks for creating videos as a shorter time frame?
Yeah, all sorts of things. A couple of different styles of video, particularly with courses in mind. There's obviously a straight to camera piece. Now, what I've found particularly effective, by the way, in creating videos like that get people to actually watch them, I film all of my videos directly into my laptop camera. And what I do is I chop, I finish a sentence and then I move to a different part of the camera's view, I don't know, lens, I guess.
Okay.
And then I say the next sentence, I pause, and then I move around, right? And basically, if you do that and you chop out the bits where you're moving, your video becomes like really fast paced and people are like drawn in by that. Because what you find is, like, I'll show you, it's so boring if I just stand here talking directly to the camera. But if I'm over here and then like I'm over here, suddenly you're thinking, wow, this guy is like frenetic. There's kind of some movement to this. I'm learning, I'm enjoying it, right? And you're going to watch and finish the video. So there's one tip I would definitely say. The second thing is, if you're showing something very visual, it makes sense to do a screen recording. Now, a common error that people make with screen recording is to show too much stuff, to show typing that is totally unnecessary. Like if you're able to do the typing and then cut out between the bit in between the first and the last character, even better, copy and paste directly into whatever box you're typing into. Just because it gives people that feeling of motion and speed. Another thing is always keep a clear desktop. Right. So if you're going to be sharing video, definitely make it look like it's a clear desktop. It's nice. People enjoy that. They can think better. They're not trying to look at whatever you've got as your file names or whatever. The other thing is, if you're using if you've got a lot of apps in your toolbars, if you're doing a screen recording, use a tool like Bartender to hide all of the apps behind a kind of like a curtain, so that people aren't distracted by that stuff either. Some people I know even set up a different profile on their computers just to do screen recordings.
Yeah,
a bunch of stuff like that. The other thing I would say is, if you do video, you can also do audio. So take the video, whip out the images, and you've got audio there as well. Now you can use that for all sorts of things. Recently, I recorded a podcast about a topic that I thought was so important that I remixed it to a dance music track. And I shared it on LinkedIn and Twitter, and it got way more engagement than I thought it would. It was so dumb. It was like I literally downloaded some stock music and then cut bits up and stuck them in, and it went down well. So like remixing your content, very strong. You should do it. Make all sorts of different things.
That's great. I think repurposing is one thing, which obviously everyone talks about as well. You create one video content, or then you can use the script you have used in that video. You can use the video as such, like create clips, chunks of it, and then obviously the audio file goes into as a podcast as well. And one more thing was the D&D option, which we have been hearing a lot, and we are up for release on the same as well here with Vmaker, since we are in the screen recording space, where a notification which pops up, not everybody, they turn the D&D mode on, and you just cases wherein sensitive information is also leaked because of the email previews which comes in as well. So have a tool which also offers a D&D part, that will also help as well. again, I want to just go back a little and talk about the first thing that you said. I know that one hack which is like pretty interesting, wherein when it's kind of like getting the early registrant for the course you're building by giving them an exclusive discount. But what are the other steps you take in terms of promoting your course? Let's say you're creating something today. How would you go about promoting the course? What are the channels you would look?
Yeah, well, look, I am very active on Twitter, so and not just active, but I'm active around a very specific niche. So so B2B SaaS marketing is already pretty specific compared to what most people do, right? So look, the benefit of that is that you're building up an audience over time who are ready to engage with a topic. Now, it doesn't matter what your topic is. What matters is the focus of your message. So that's a really important thing. Now, everyone says you need an email list to build a course. I don't think that's true. I have an email list. I sold one copy of the course through the email list. I sold a lot of copies directly through Twitter. Now, what works is to create content that isn't, I've made this course, buy it, but to try and give away some element or some message of the course. I don't mean as a free download. I mean, literally, right onto a Twitter thread, like one of your lessons, turn it into a thread and share that. You don't need to add hashtags. You don't need to add any of that kind of stuff. Then find some people who are really interested in that topic. You can use Twitter's own search, the advanced search, even if you want, and then go off and send it to them. Just say, hey, I just wrote this thread. I'd love it if you could share it, or like write a reply or like one of the tweets,
or just give me some feedback.
I mean, well, it's great to have the feedback, right? But at the end of the day, you're teaching. You want to make the sales. True. So even if it's like, hey, what do you agree with, or what do you disagree with? Add it as a comment on one of the tweets. Because what happens then is that you obviously increase your reach, because if they comment on it, then you're getting in front of their followers, right? And you've got to kind of stoke that kind of conversation and engagement. It doesn't just happen for people. Everyone who you see who's getting like a lot of engagement is probably getting engagement because they're talking to people about their message, and people are responding to that. I think like one thing I did try was I tried sending paid traffic to my course through Reddit ads. I had a kind of an idea that that selling to specific communities on Reddit that were kind of aligned to the message might work. In fact, I did make one sale through that, so it was an ROI positive exercise, but I didn't find it as kind of, I thought it would like really take off. I thought I would find a channel that would work pretty reliably there. That wasn't the case, but it might work for some people. I'm selling to marketers. Marketers are already aware of like, what's happening. If you're not in marketing, you might sell more through a channel like Reddit ads, and they're so cheap compared to other platforms. I think I was paying like 7 cents a click or something like that. It's like it was ridiculously low, and if you make one sale from 7 cents a click, you gotta have a lot of clicks before that's before that's a negative. So
I think on any day that's going to turn out ROI posture, even if with 1 or 2 sales, you should be good to go. Sure. Thanks for adding it in a very candid way. It's more about experimenting and with the niche you're catering to before you identify the channel is what I hear from that. So did you use any tools in the overall process? What are the different tools you will engage with? I understand for ads it's going to be Reddit, but right from creating a landing page, hosting it, recording, all those items, any favorite tool list you have?
Yeah, so I use Podia for hosting, for actually managing the course, for managing sales. It's a brilliant tool. Would 100% recommend anyone who wants to make a course actually use that. I do mostly audio, if I'm honest, because people seem to really like the sound of my audio. So I do a lot of that. And for managing that, I use Descript, which is like magic because I can record directly into it. And then, I can edit the transcript in order to edit the sound. It saves me a heap of time. I write things generally in Google Docs. I never liked it before, but now I really do. And what else? If I record so for the course, I sorry to say this on the Vmaker webinar, but I did use Loom to record a couple of screen shares. So,
Got it.
but I think like it doesn't matter what tool you use at the end of the day. The thing that matters is is the message potent? Like, is it a good message?
Absolutely.
And B, is the message clear? So those are the things that matter versus the actual tool that you use.
That's great. I think it was more from a startup perspective. If somebody is coming in from a zero level, for them to get started and explore the different options as well. But yeah, let's look into replacing the Loom option with Vmaker pretty soon on your list as well. Okay. Just one sec. I'm just browsing through the list of questions I prepared for you. Okay. So let's say, again, you mentioned that, if you're trying to sell a course to a marketer, then obviously, it's going to be pretty difficult because there is a good chance you're selling to one of your competition because today almost everybody is creating a course. If you really look into it, I personally see a lot of advertisements on courses, rather than like there is a course on how to create a course. Like what we are doing now, it is a paid course as well. So I was like, wow, this is like the best form of course I've ever seen. But so let's say your niche is overcrowded, then how do you go about creating a differentiation in that particular category?
That's a good question. I think there's two ways to think about that. The first one is the informational niche might be overcrowded. So how to do this, right?
Yeah.
What isn't crowded is you sharing your original insights, because you own those. No one can share those to you. Now, the best courses, the best teachers always have some original insight because they have original experience. You've lived through your solving of your problem, right? You've done it, hopefully. If you haven't, you need to go do that first, because that provides genuine value over and over again. Some people will buy a course purely based on the story that's being told, the case study that's being used. Now that's useful to know. The second way that you can think about it is, even if you're in a very crowded niche, what you can do is you can say, well, okay, look, this is crowded. I acknowledge that. But why would somebody specifically buy my version of this thing? Now, this is classic value propositions, positioning. What pain are you helping your buyer solve in their life? What's the acute pain? Like, how badly do they feel this? And like, what's the thing that they go, I will pay money to solve this problem? Secondly, is there a way that you are doing that is a style that is unique to you? Like maybe it's the language, maybe it's the delivery, maybe it's the course format. Potentially everyone in your niche is doing a cohort-based course and you are doing a self-paced course. Maybe they're doing it via a platform like Podia. Maybe you do yours via email or something like that. Right? These things matter. Then think, are there things that other people are doing in when they're teaching these courses that I can add to or subtract from even? So additions might be, maybe you become part of a course community, or maybe you get matched with a bunch of other people who are doing the same thing. The subtraction might be, maybe no one wants the course community. And so while everyone else is delivering it, you say, this is entirely on your own. We could do one-to-one mentoring. We could do all that kind of stuff, but we're doing it like this because we want you to get effective quickly and move on. Then there's pricing, obviously. You can undercut. I don't recommend it. If you're going to do something, I recommend going over potentially. because if you're in a competitive niche, you're going to sell probably less. If you sell two courses at a higher price, you know, you're going to massively outsell your competitors, in which case you can invest in marketing even better. So there's all sorts of ways that you can think about that problem. But I think the real key one is what I said first, which is you have to bring some unique experience and insight into anything that you do if you're actually going to make it a commercial success.
Yeah, I think especially if there is an individual who is doing a course compared to a brand which is launching a course, people prefer individuals because they need to hear those personal experience and those stories from them. So obviously, you know, that's going to be a no-brainer, which if at all somebody as an individual is going to launch a course, they should be thinking about this. And one more thing, the interesting part is, where you said, you know, go higher than your competition rather than, you know, reducing your pricing. I remember, you know, wherein we were in discussion for launching a course, and we asked like, okay, maybe you're pricing it at $50. And the question that was posted in front was, let's say you want to offer the same course for, let's say, $500 or $5,000. What would be the value you can bring into that particular course? So it's basically increase your value proposition rather than, you know, bringing the price down. That's going to be a nice strategy, and thanks for adding that as well. So yep, that's the quick fire questions. I mean, that's the first set of questions which I had for you. And yeah, for the first time I've completed it in 28 minutes as well. And but before I let you go, I just have some quick 5 questions. This is going to be really personal and, you know, kind of like a rapid fire for people just to get on a personal touch level. So I'm gonna just throw it at you, and you can just answer me on spot. If you're not okay, then we'll probably skip it, but these are like pretty simple. So first one, I obviously see a big bookshelf behind you. So what is your favorite book?
Interesting. That's a great question. Well, you know what? These books are all fairly old now because I mostly read on my Kindle.
Oh, okay.
But recently I read a book called Doom, like DOOM, which is about catastrophe through history. And it was so good. Also, I gotta say, guys, speaking to an Indian audience here predominantly, I also read A Cultural History of Curry recently, which was, you know, about Indian history, and it was so good, and obviously food.
Planning a visit here?
That is something I would love to do at some point, honestly.
We'll be happy to host.
Nice.
Awesome. So what is your favorite hobby other than just working or creating courses?
I like to run. I also go to the sauna a lot, which is very good.
That's amazing. So work from home or work from office, which is your pick?
Oh man, I've worked from home pretty much my whole career. Yeah.
And you working at office at any point of time then?
I've worked in an office a couple of times. I like it, but also I definitely prefer home.
Okay. So quality versus quantity, which one would be your pick at any time? And this is not just on content, you know, even with vacations, be it any.
Yeah, I'd like a high quantity of quality, please. I think most people would say quality. I think the real question is of what at the end of the day. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
What do you benchmark to, and how do you define it matters as well when people answer quality? You know, what could be qualitative could be is always subjective, at least in my opinion. So one line for you know, young aspirants who are coming up, you know, in your particular industry, people who are starting young, you know, what would be your one line to them?
Well, look, if I tell you what, this is going to be video, right? So I'm taking my clothes off here. Look, right now I actually have a tattoo. It says target customer pain points. It's not a real tattoo, guys. But I believe in the message so much that I thought, hey, I'll get a fake tattoo. And because it's great. It's great advice. Target customer pain points. You do better marketing. You sell more. You also relate to people, which is really a key thing that a lot of people forget.
That's amazing. This is definitely going to be chopped and posted on social media. This is going to be one of the best moments of all the webinars I've hosted so far. Thanks, Mark. It was great talking to you. I think we have already through the half an hour part, but it went like a charm. Anything you would like to add on which we missed during the conversation?
No, I don't think so. All I can say is check out my Twitter. It's I am Mark Thomas. That's Mark with a C.
I'm just gonna share the link here as well, and I'll be sharing it on the YouTube video description once it goes as well. So awesome, Mark. Thanks once again for joining in. It was great talking to you, and thanks for accepting the invite and bearing all the social mentions we would have put you through over the last 7 days. Thank you so much for joining in, and hopefully we do another session. I would really love to talk more on the early stage growth, which you have spoken about in your book as well. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Let's do it sometime. All right,
sure,
catch you soon.
Thanks man. Thank you. Take care. Have a great day.